Hello, Joseph. It
Howdy,
is,
how's it going?
Yeah, he's on.
it's 5:33 in the afternoon. We do have a quorum. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. At this time, do we have any public comments?
Yes, we do. Our first speaker is Erasmo Castro.
Good afternoon. It's been a while since we've been here, and we want to thank you all for continuing to have public comment, as always. I think that a lot of things that have transpired in the past couple of weeks.
Mr. Castro, could you speak more into the mic, please? Thank you.
A lot of things that have transpired in the past couple of weeks have not brought a lot of satisfaction to the people here in the city of Brownsville. We are expecting a little bit more than what we have received. I think that there's been a lot of uncertainty in regards to what are the next steps that are being provided by PUB in regards to returning a lot of the funds that were taken from the community. I think that we are still wanting to know what's going to transpire, what's going to happen. With the agenda, we find very little in regards to it, except for maybe one or two items. We just are asking for a couple more resources out there, more help, more clarity in regards to what are the next steps for a lot of the folks out there. I think that the city commission has taken some great steps in the right direction. We just are requesting that we get a little bit more information in regards to what's going on. We do appreciate, I think we've gotten a lot of word from a lot of folks out there that they have been told that there isn't going to be disconnection notices and no late fees, so that is appreciated. Just feel that it's not enough. We're hoping that at the start of the year, we will get a little bit more information in regards to what we like to expect as a community. So happy holidays, and thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Our next is Kayla Taboada.
Hi, good afternoon. I actually came a little prepared. So I tuned into the finance committee that was held last week. I wasn't able to attend, but I did get to go back and view it. So thank you for that. During that meeting, Mr. Sampaio and Mr. Rendon stated that you'd have the numbers shared on the PUB website for the public to read and digest. And by the numbers, I mean the ones that were being presented for discussion of funds collected and used for the Tenaska project. I couldn't find them on the website. So much for transparency and clarity. I hope you understand how that makes it even worse, because you keep trying to prove across the point that transparency and clarity is the number one thing that you guys want to do, and it's not. Also in that meeting, it was clearly mentioned time and time again how the public does not understand the numbers, its fundings and the utilization of it. And you may be right. We don't understand the numbers. We don't understand the numbers because they were never shared from the get-go. Nothing ever was in relation to Tenaska until now that the public is outreached. But even though we are trying to be transparent, we still won't understand because the validity of the numbers being presented and how they were used have yet to be proven factual. In other words, we don't believe that we are even sharing real numbers. Why? Because board members, FIAC, and other individuals involved in the decision-making of this entity clearly have a problem and or do not know how to be truly transparent. Which leads me to my last comment. In reference to your comment of hoping to regain and build trust with the public, I'm here to tell you that we, the people, will not be on track with these board members for a long time. For sure, not as long as Mr. Buziak and current board members remain in their seats. We will not forget what you stole from us. We will not rest until we see change. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move over to the consent agenda items. If I have any questions regarding those items.
Make a motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move on to items for individual consideration. Number one is the general manager's report.
Hello, Marilyn Gilbert, Interim General Manager, and I provided in the packets a copy of the board calendar. I've also included in your packet a copy of the 2022 holiday calendar that is by policy, and so that way those are the dates that are currently going to be, our offices will be closed. Do you all have any questions on that? Okay. I do also want to note on that also on February 27 to March 1st, there's the APPA legislative rally, and watch out for an email on any of the items that we plan to discuss at that time. So our board secretary will be sending an email on that. And that concludes on the 1A. So we move on to 1B. And now we have our report with Monica.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Monica Cavazos, Director of Finance. I will be presenting our year-to-date numbers as of October 31st, which this is the first month of our fiscal year. So you'll see that the two columns match this month. So we will be looking at the far right column. We see that we had sales and service charges of $13,835,493. Fuel collections of $8,672,472. Fuel over collections of over billings, of $2,127,000, less rate stabilization of $750,000, and utility service to the city of Brownsville of $579,957. Gives us total revenues of $19,051,008. From this, we deduct our operating expenses of $14,235,810, which gives us operating income of $4,815,198. We then see on line 18, below line 18, our net non-operating expenses were $1,900,613. Which gives us income before capital contributions of $2,914,585, plus our capital contributions of $276,662, gives us a change in net position of $3,191,247. When added to the net position at the beginning of the year of $445,746,798, gives us a net position at the end of the period of $448,938.45. Looking at the next schedule, which is our flow of funds, see on line 21 that we generated sufficient revenues to cover, to provide surplus of $5,293,665. This covers our operating sub-account for the fuel adjustment of $1,068,122. Contributions to our improvement fund for capital project funding of $742,367, and improvement fund for the Resaca fee CIP funding of $29,982, for total transfers of $1,844,71, which left us surplus of $2,662,142 for the period. That's the end of my financial presentation. If there's any questions from anybody on the board.
Monica, any differences from what was presented at the Finance?
Finance Committee, no, sir. It's the same report that was presented last Wednesday at the Finance Committee.
Any further questions? No.
So moving on to the next item, we have Monica also be presenting for the engineering and legal fees monthly expenses.
So you have in your packets, we have the engineering fees for the month of October, the year to date, we had a budget, combined budget between our O&M and capital funding of $3,162,214. We had expenses actuals for the period of $188,898, leaving a budget balance available of $2,973,316. No, I'm not projecting. I'm sorry, I saw you look. It's not on the screen, sir. It's in your packets. Are there any questions on the engineering fees?
No.
The next report is the legal fee status. We did, at the request of the board, we had our local counsel and our special counsel provide budget information to us by matters. And so we have changed the format of how we're reporting the legal fees to you so that you see versus by firm, the way we used to report it, we're now reporting it by matters. And so you will see, and this includes local counsel, special counsel, and any other counsel that handles any other matters for us. And so this is by different matters. I don't know if you want me to go through the individual matters or not, but you will see on the second page the total legal budget. And again, this includes both O&M and capital budgets. The total budget for the year is $1,860,474. We've had year-to-date expenses of $156,335, which leaves a balance available right now of $1,704,239. And then also in your packet, we have the 5-year history that you can see as well. That does show by firm and then by matters within the firms. And so you can tie back the numbers. You also see 5-year history, firm and by matter. Are there any questions on the legal fee report? $1,704,238.64. Balance available?
No other questions? No. We'll just continue.
My final report is the capital work order report for the city of Brownsville. We do show the 5-year history. You will see that for 2023, we have not received any requests yet from the city for any capital projects, capital work orders. But you also see the 5-year, the total for 2019 to 2023. We did also add, this was also requested by the board, we added at the bottom of this tab, at the bottom of this report, we show the utility usage and transfers to the city, a 5-year history, including what is budgeted for 2023 by utility for the city. And so this shows the city's usage by utility and their cash transfers that came out of each of the 3 utilities. And that's, again, for informational purposes. That was something that was requested by the board as well. Are there any questions on
Questions
that?
from the board? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next item, we have Andy Scott. He's going to speak a little bit more on the drought update and the contingency plan and stage 2 guidelines. At the last SRWA meeting, our board chair requested for us to discuss a little bit more about stage 2 and implementation. And I've also had a slight opportunity to talk with our mayor in reference to the stage 2 and where we're at. And Renee is going to give you a couple of insights, what we're doing with respect to our current conditions, other conditions at the dam, as well as what other irrigators are doing in the area.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Mariscal, Water Resource Manager. So update on our drought update. Last month, I reported 31.6% U.S. combined storage. And so as you can see, this month, we're just slightly above, so slight increase, 31.6 to 31.9. Really what's happened with the storage is really that it's leveled off. Since October to now, both reservoirs have essentially leveled off. So the fact that we're not seeing a decrease over the last couple of months is a good sign. And all this is a result of the recent rains over the last several months. I provided, you all saw this chart this graph last month. Not much change. Again, we're at 31.9% currently. You'll note that like I indicated the last time, we are beginning 5% lower this new year than we did last year. So slightly low. One thing though that is different as we begin the new year is that the Mexican reservoirs are, have quite a bit more water than they did last year when we began the year. Mexican reservoirs' storage capacity last year at about this time was at 45%. This year, Mexican reservoirs, their storage capacity is at 71%. So that's quite a bit, a significant difference. And what that does, it keeps the water, keeps water available for us as we move on through the year. So if you take a look at the yellow line there, 2021, you saw fairly steady decrease over the year, whereas this last year, you saw that sudden dip. And part of that has to do with the fact that the Mexican reservoirs, we began quite a bit lower. So we're back up to, on the Mexican side, just a refresher, we rely a lot on those Mexican reservoirs as well. Okay. Just a seasonal drought outlook. Again, for our area, we're still in the development, drought development is likely. This is over the next 3 months. So that's what the National Weather Service Prediction Center is predicting. So a little on the drought stages, just to recap. Our drought, water conservation and drought contingency plan is state mandated. So a lot of municipalities, all the municipalities, quite frankly, they all provide these plans, and we're all mandated to submit these plans to the state. We submit them to the Texas Water Development Board, to TCEQ, and to our local region M. The plan that we have in place was board adopted in 2019, and that gets renewed every 5 years. So our next renewal will be due here in a year or so. One thing to keep in mind, it is codified as part of the city ordinance. So we provided you with a copy of that stage 2 requirements. And I'll talk a little bit about stage 2. Stage 1, again, voluntary basis, that typically kicks in on May 1st, and we're typically in that in September. It's over the summer. Obviously, this year we're in stage 2. Once the levels drop down below the 25%, we kicked in stage 2, and that occurred the latter part of July this past summer. And then stage 3, that would kick in should we ever get to the U.S. combined storage get to 15%. The authority, PUB, we set the guidelines and the criteria for implementing the different stages, and the general manager and the mayor initiate and terminate each stage. So again, we're in stage 2 right now. The U.S. water storage in the reservoirs, once that reaches 25%, we would implement stage 2. We are, however, at like I mentioned earlier, 31% combined storage. Here's the criteria, the guidelines. Annual allotment may be exhausted. That's something, if in fact our water rights, if we used up a lot of our water rights, that's something that would kick in. Right now, as far as our water allotment, we've only used up about 60% of our annual allotment. Our water allotment will use at the beginning of each year. So here comes January 1st. We have approximately a little over 31,000 acre feet available to the municipality for water. Today, we've only used about 19,000 acre feet. So we have plenty of water rights. And again, here January 1st, we're going to go back up to a little over 31,000 acre feet. That's a non-issue there. Loss of capability to provide service due to line breaks or pump failure or a system failure. We don't have that within our system. That's not an issue at this point. However, we did want to point out that as General Manager indicated, we're monitoring the Amistad Dam. You all saw an article about the Amistad Dam. There's some seepage, and so that's something that we monitor. Obviously, a serious failure would pose a threat to the community, not only to the community, but to everybody downstream. So that's something that they're working on. Sinkholes occurred, they discovered that in 1995. So work is underway with that, and we're looking at a potential beginning their phase one repairs in 2024. So that's something that we would monitor. The other two, I think, demand your capacity levels. There's no issue. We don't have an issue there, and we don't have an issue with contamination of water supply at this point. Any questions regarding that?
Yeah,
criteria?
quick question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So you said they're going to kick off their repairs in 2024.
Summer of 2024. That's the projection.
Okay. What is the probability of failure? Has there been any discussion about the probability of failure before this project kicks off?
Again, just based off the information that we have, there has been, they've had this issue since 1995. So, so to answer your question, I do not know the probability of it failing between now and 2024. I know, based on the article, we know that they've done some repairs to the initial sinkhole. So, something we'll definitely be monitoring.
Okay.
And the guidelines for terminating, once for stage two, we can it may be rescinded as soon as we're back above the 25% for 3 consecutive days, and we're clearly at that point. Reminder: once stage two, if we were to rescind stage two, we still remain in stage one, which is that voluntary phase. Any questions?
So are we going to?
Do we have any numbers? Sorry.
Sorry, Joseph. Are we still remaining on the stage two, or?
We're looking at the probability of what the other indicators are. I was informed this morning that there are still some restrictions with some of the other people in our area. So one of them is still in stage two. Some have rolled back. And so once we get all the feedback from all of in our area, then at that time, I'll confer with the mayor and discuss, where everybody is at, and then if we roll back. One of the things that my concern is, when we were at peak demand and we implemented our stage two, instead of going down in our usage, we went up. Obviously, right now, the demand is lower because of the conditions we have. It's a lot more humid out there. People are not irrigating. It's not as hot. So that is something that once we roll it back, we may have to, once we hit spring or summer, kick it back in. So it's best if everybody still stays in that conservation mode to see how we do in comparison to last year's numbers and other numbers there. Others have mentioned that it was maybe the added people that were on there, but that wasn't the case because it was on a month-to-month. When we were monitoring, we didn't, raise from June to July once the stage two came in. But that is, Mr. Holman, we will go back and talk to IBWC to see if they have any reports on the probability of failure. And we haven't had a chance yet to meet with their staff and to discuss what the actual damage potential. I know that they have been concerned and they're monitoring more. And one of the good things about that is happening, it's not that a drought is good, but the pressure on the shoring is less than what it normally have been if it would have been full. And so therefore there isn't that much water behind it to create the pressure points that create more damage to it. So we'll go back and ask some of those questions.
Okay. So I wanted to ask if we had any statistics about whether this, and it sounds like maybe you answered, whether this water restriction idea had any benefit. And it sounds like our water usage increased as these water restrictions came out, which actually correlates with data from, well, okay, so I was in high school, 20 some odd years ago. Last time we were in drought conditions, we had a situation where Brownsville didn't roll out these restrictions and other communities within the valley did, and they saw an increase in water usage, whereas we kind of relied on a public education campaign and managed to keep our water usage down. I don't know if anybody wants to admit to being around at the time, but yeah, do you have any comments on that and whether we think keeping these in place will help?
Right, if I may, Madam Chair, the reason we're trying to push this from the SRWA end is looking for the issue of expansion of SRWA, also weighing restriction fatigue versus looking at how effective, as Dr. Holman just brought up, how effective this is actually being. So I've directed staff through the SRWA role to look at how we can update these criteria for terminating a stage 2 restriction, looking to include forecasts so that we don't go 1 and 2, 1 and 2. I mean, you don't want to have fatigue where you're sitting there in 2, particularly if it's not effective. At the same time, you don't want to go back to 1 and then 1 month later go back to 2. People are going to start ignoring if they're not already, simply because it's been on for such a long time. So the criteria to terminate, also a post-event summary when we do finally come back off stage 2, and hopefully that would be soon, to look at the effectiveness of that. And I think how the role that AMI is going to also play in that in the future, so that will give us more immediate data instead of kind of a, so it's an opportunity to learn as well as to see how we can update our criteria for coming off of stage 2 independently of what others are doing around us. So it's a complicated thing. It's not easy to set up operating rules, particularly in a situation where we have a binational watershed, but we'll be working on that in the SRWA end.
Thank you.
I don't know if
That sounds
that's your
awesome. Thanks.
question, Dr. We don't have specific statistics beyond that yet, but we hopefully will.
Thank you. Any
Thank you.
further questions? Thank you, Renee.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. That concludes the general manager's report.
We're going to go to item number 2, which is a consideration and possible approval for entering into a master services agreement with eSource Companies LLC to provide consulting and program management services for the advanced metering infrastructure project.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I have with me Ms. Nicole Desan from eSource Consulting. eSource Consulting is a firm that has aided the Brownsville Public Utilities Board staff in research of the AMI solutions, construction of the request of proposal, and evaluation of submissions based on qualifications and demonstrated past performance with PUB on the AMI project, which will allow the team staff recommend Source as the most highly qualified provider of these services and the final proposed fees to be fair and reasonable. The attached master services agreement, the MSA, with eSource is for consulting and project management services for the implementation phase of the AMI project. eSource will aid BPUB with contract negotiations, contract management, project management, and consulting services. The contract has been reviewed by BPUB's legal firm, Davidson, Trujillo, Ream, and Garza. The recommended action, staff recommends the board authorize the general manager and CEO to negotiate and execute a professional consulting and technical master services agreement with eSource Companies LLC to provide consulting and program management services for the advanced metering infrastructure project in the amount not to exceed $1,734,533 and issue various work authorizations thereunder. Okay. We brought this last month to the board. We had a little presentation. You want us to go through it? We did do this presentation for the Finance Committee on December the 7th. The original budget that we brought the original budget to the board for approval on September the 12th, 2022, and the board approved $29 million. Oops, wrong button. Well, I'm having problems with this thing. So yeah, it was brought to the board on September the 12th, 2022, the budget of $29,711,655. The consulting part of the budget was 2.3 million, actually of the 29 million. So it was included as part of the budget. So this is not in addition to, this is part of. So from 2.3 million, we get 2.2. And then after meeting with the team, we've moved it to, what we did is we met with the entire team to kind of go over the numbers at the request of the board and see, okay, is there anything that we can do on the budget? After meeting with the team, various different sections of the team cut back on different pieces that felt they could do. In other words, if they're not going to do the work, then we need to do the work. So reasonably, what could we do? What could we take on? Especially in light of the situation nowadays with COVID and early retirements and that kind of thing. Because when people retire, it's not just the position that goes, it's all the experience that goes with that position, that 20 or 30 years that they have. So with that said, the, forward. Like I said, we met with the different teams, the field inspectors, electric meter shop, water meter shop, public relations, the change management group, our data quality management people, and our field people and our IT, our communications. So staff, it pretty much has, at this level, at the 1.7 million, staff does have buy-in. They do feel that we can get this done. And they have some comfort in it. We have a little bit of experience because of the pilot that we did 10 years ago. And this is basically, how did we get to it? Like I said, we met with the team. We went through, between eSource and the team, we went through the different levels of effort. Also, eSource cut back their rate on their rate schedule. They cut it back about 5%. And then the rest is just internal effort on the PUB staff side. If you want to see the detail, we can go through that. We have that in the notes section. But long story short, we moved it from 2,276,000 down to 1,734,530. And then one of the questions that was brought up by the board, I believe, Dr. Benavides, was, okay, a point of reference. How does this look in regards to other projects? What eSource did was they listed various projects. These are projects that they're working on today. So this isn't historical. This is today. These are all current projects that they're working on. And as a percentage of the budget, the 1.7 million comes out to about 6.4% of the total budget. And you can see the various, it ranges all over the place depending on effort, the size of the company, and the different things that the company asked to do. But basically, we come out at 6.4%. And you can see that kind of puts us on the lower end of the spectrum. And here are some of the eSource team members and their qualifications. The detailed resumes are in the packet. And then one of the other things that we did was we tried to break out, okay, what are they going to be helping us with? What are the different tasks? And there were some tasks that we did not touch. If you want to help me remember some of them, but like vendor contract negotiations, project management, solutions architecture, project engineering. Those sections, we do not have the expertise, so we didn't touch those at all. We will need their help with that. There were a lot of the other sections that we felt that we could reduce their effort and do internally, like business process design. They will guide us, but we will be doing the work. Organizational change management, customer engagement, which is a lot of the PR work that got cut back a lot. Meter development, quality assurance. On the quality assurance side, one of the things that will happen as we go through the project is, as we install meters, obviously, we'll free up meter readers and meter services time. So I asked the meter shops, well, can you guys do all the QA? And they said, well, no, we don't have the manpower. I said, okay, well, as I free up the time of my meter readers and meter servicemen, I'll give them to you. Can they help you? And, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. So it's things like that we try to see where could we help out. And that's how we got to this level of effort. So at this point, do you all have any questions? Anything you'd like us to touch on?
The board, any questions?
I'd just like to make a comment. I know this topic pretty well by now. I do appreciate that y'all made a significant effort to bring the cost down. And I think administration, PUB administration needs to really look at all these big projects, these major projects often to see how we can get a better value, how we can save money. But yeah, that's the only comment I have. Thank you.
And thank you for those points of comparison. That really helps kind of situate us as far as what is a kind of an average consulting percentage of the total project. So that did answer my question. Thank you.
And the finance committee?
No, We didn't have any additional comments.
Recommendations? No.
Except the staff.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the recommendation that administration.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
We're going to go to item number 3, which is a consideration and possible action for bid award for the laboratory facility HVAC replacement project rebid.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. Albert Gomez, Director, Environmental Services. This item here, the Brownsville Public Utilities Board solicited competitive sealed bids for the laboratory facility heating, ventilation, and cooling replacement project. Its scope of work requires the replacement of the laboratory HVAC chillers, air handlers, ductwork, chilled water pumps, piping, exhaust fans, associated appendages. Also, advertisement for bids was on September 25th and October 2nd, 2022. Invitation to bid was posted on BPUB's webpage and mailed to 10 vendors. The purchasing department opened bids on October 27th. GMB Engineering assisted PUB staff to develop project plans and specifications and assisted with the evaluation of the submitted bids. 2 bids were received, Johnson Controls and ProTech Mechanical, with Johnson Controls Incorporated submitting the lowest responsive bid. The Analytical Lab staff recommends award to the lowest responsive bidder, Johnson Controls, in the amount of $992,319.26. I do have JMB Engineering. He called in virtually here in case there's any technical questions. I also have a short little PowerPoint if you'd like to go through that on the situation that we have there. This is the Analytical Laboratory. This is where we do all our state, federal compliance testing, ensure that we have safe drinking water. The issues in the lab is an end of useful life, requires constant repairs. We have a lot of periodic chiller freon leaks as well, so we have to always, and that's expensive as well to come in and put in some freon in those chillers. We get a lot of building condensation, the ceiling insulation's depleted, and increased humidity. A lot of ceiling tile and wall staining throughout the building. Some more pictures here. Some of them are a little dark, so I won't do it justice, but yeah, we've got a lot of issues there. These are the air handlers we're replacing, 1 and 2, and then we have 2 chillers on the outside of the building. The corrective actions, we are working with GMB Engineering and Jeff Stedgy, the facilities manager as well, to replace the 2 air handler units. We replaced the 2 chillers with corresponding equipment, pumps, compressors, be a completely new system, variable frequency drives, new ductwork, new software, pretty much a turnkey installation. That's the end of my presentation, unless there's any questions there.
How many do you have on this? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say this replacing the air handlers seems to only really solve one of the problems, right?
Some of the problems, correct. We are doing.
Yeah, I mean, like the depleted insulation and everything else is not part of this.
No, that is not, that we will have to come back to for those issues as well. We'll have to come in and replace some of the sheetrock, ceiling tiles, installation. Yes.
And I'd imagine there's a problem with the roof if you have water leaking through your ceiling tiles and such, water stains on your ceiling tiles.
We've checked out the roof. It seems to be okay. It's just that we just get a lot of humidity. in the building. And that's
Okay,
where that-
due to the air handlers.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It is 100% fresh air, so it's just a once through system. It doesn't recycle, so.
Research.
Just for safety issues that our staff is not, exposed to chemicals and the other issues there as well, so.
How many bidders did we have on this? Was it three? Two.
Two bidders, yes.
We had three that were interested, right? And then only two submitted?
Yep, there were 7 that submitted.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I thought three had said that they were going to.
Yeah,
7.
yeah, and purchase, they handle,
Okay.
these are the ones they open, yeah.
I just wanted to add in, I mean, from my end, I've worked a lot with the laboratory from my role as a faculty member and doing some sampling. This is one of the only NELAC certified laboratories in South Texas that can do bacteria analysis. And for not only for the PUB, but they've often been very generous with their time on a very limited case, but very important cases where students want to do projects associated with sampling bacteria in water. So I want to thank the laboratory for that and the directors associated with that. They've always been very helpful for that. And I think it's extremely important that we try to maintain the environmental systems that are behind this important laboratory, not only for the PUB, but for South Texas.
Any other comments? How old are the units that we're replacing?
Juan Bujanos, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. They're approximately 23 years old.
Cross Connection Control Manager. The chillers itself, they've been in service since 2007. The air handlers were replaced in 2012, and the building itself was built and in service since 2000.
Okay,
So we've replaced these systems in the past.
okay. Any questions from the
So
board?
we only get about 10 years off this?
For the chillers, we're averaging, about 10 years. The first time it was in 2000, 2007, we had to upgrade. And it's been since 2007 to 2022. Normally, the systems last anywhere from 10 to 15 years, so we're at the tail end of our, of the useful life of the equipment.
Okay. Cool. And then one last request. Jude, is it possible to get some examples of how the lab has helped students? I don't know if there's anything we can talk about or discuss, but it'd be just useful to know. I think for everybody to know.
I'm having a hard time understanding. Can you say that again? You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, yeah, audio isn't the best. Is there any way we can get some examples of how the lab has helped students and, maybe just something we can talk about, let the public know about?
I would be happy to provide whatever they've done with us and annotate that.
That'd be awesome.
Yes, we do assist students with their science project. They request data or they come into the laboratory. We show them the different techniques. We walk them through their project. We do public outreach also. So we do assist the public in notifying what we do here in the laboratory.
Yeah, and as far as that NELAC certification, bacteria testing has a quick turnaround time. We have to get the actual sample enumerated within a number of hours from actually sampling, drawing the water. And if you actually chill it and send it somewhere else, the results are nowhere near as accurate as they need to be. So that's one critical role amongst many that this laboratory plays.
Any other questions from the board?
I just want to make a quick comment. Albert, is it common for y'all to use an external consultant to give you recommendations? For example, the J&B, what y'all can't do it in-house?
I mean, it's common when it's not our expertise, like, we kind of take care of the environmental stuff, so we felt like we needed some assistance.
Can you give me an idea what the cost is to pay J&B?
It was 54,000. $54,000, yeah.
And
that is going to be, we've got some additional work as far as the the insulation and the plumbing and different things that we got to work on. That's going to be an amendment for 100,000 later on.
It's a lot of money to have somebody as a consultant. We can't achieve this internally.
No.
The other comment is on the bidding process, I noticed there are 7 companies that are interested, and we're down to 2 bids. And I've noticed this in the past. I just want to bring it to the attention of those who are bidding these projects out. You have 7 definitely interested. There's only 2 at the very end. Of course, you want to get the best value, but perhaps there's some way to improve that. But anyway, thank you for that information.
No problem. Thank you. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Can I get a
Um,
motion to
oh,
entertain?
I'm
move on this
sorry,
item?
just to follow up on what was just said. Can you discuss a little bit about what we got for that 54,000?
Yes, I mean, they came in, like we had said, they came in to work on the specifications. It's an engineer, he drew up all the specifications, he helped us put the bid together. We went out for proposals. He evaluated the bids, make sure that everybody was in the, so he also designed the system as well. And so there's quite a bit of work that.
Oh, okay. So not just really bids, but he actually designed what was going to replace it.
He actually designed and tied up the plan, so everybody had a consistent, bid package to go by. Yeah, and
Okay.
with all the calculations and
Albert, have you read the recommended action?
no, but I can read it. It's great. PV staff recommends bid award to Johnson Controls Incorporated of McAllen, Texas, in the amount of $992,319.26 for the laboratory facility HVAC replacement project.
If there is no further questions, if I can get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to item number 4. Consideration and possible action to approve the professional engineering and surveying services contract with CPNY Inc. for the downtown water and wastewater project to be funded through 2021 American Recovery Program Act and other fund sources. Marie?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Marie Leal, and I am the Director of Special Projects and Water Wastewater Engineering, Planning and Operations. On June 13, 2022, the BPB Board of Directors entered into an interlocal agreement with the City of Brownsville to implement a water and wastewater improvement project in downtown Brownsville, funded through the 2021 American Recovery Program Act, ARPA. BPB will be receiving these funds as a sub-award and will in turn procure the engineering design firms and contractors to implement this project. BPB has selected 2 engineering firms for this project from the Water Wastewater Department rotation list, which was approved by the board on December 13th of 2021. CPNY Inc. is one of the 2 engineering firms selected. Project 1 has an approximate construction cost estimate of $6,471,480. CPNY submitted a proposal for Project 1 for $569,014.56. Recommended action is BPB staff recommends approval of a professional engineering and surveying services contract with CPNY Inc. for the Downtown Water and Wastewater Project 1 with 2021 American Recovery Program Act and other funding sources, ARPA 2021-1112, for a total amount not to exceed $569,014.56.
Any questions from the board?
We know that the money's coming from where? From the,
We have an
it came in?
we have an interlocal agreement with the City of Brownsville, and in the interlocal, which was signed in July of this year, it's outlined at what increments of these projects the city will be providing these funds to PUB.
Mike, do they reimburse PUB or y'all?
Yes, the money's gonna be coming from the city of Brownsville's ARPA funding. So PB has no cost, will not be incurring any cost here.
Okay, thank you.
So Mike, just to clarify, do we pay the contractor and then we get reimbursed, or they get paid directly from the city?
Well, there is a, go ahead.
We get the funds first, and there's, as part of, I've attached the interlocal agreement. For example, at $725,000, which is 5% of the funds. The funds, by the way, is $14.5 million total. 725,000, 5% will come at the execution of the interlocal agreement. So we're in the process of already invoicing for that. Upon approval of these design engineers, which we have tonight, 10% of the funds will be transferred from the city to us. And then 20% at the project cost estimate upon issuing the notice to proceed. And then 20% once we get into the construction. 20% more will be when it's 25% completed, the construction, and then so forth. And then another 20% when construction is 50% completed, another 20% when construction is 75% completed. And then the remainder of the funds will be at substantial completion of the projects.
Okay, and does this have to be ratified by the city, or have they already?
It was already part of the interlocal agreement, so it was stipulated and outlined in the interlocal agreement.
Okay.
So both parties agreed on the percentages that would be transferred from the city to us.
But they don't have to sign off on the actual contractor that's selected?
No, they don't. Only our board does.
Okay.
They do, however, the city did assign a project manager liaison between the city of Brownsville and BPUB, and that's Half Associates is the team that is assisting in reviewing everything.
What's the timeline, Helen?
The timeline, we get the designers on board this month, and we have to be bidding the projects out to construction. We must have a contractor on board by December of 2023. And then we have 2 years to complete the construction. So the important timeline right now is to go to construction by December of 2023.
So, I'm sorry, I missed the number. What was the total amount that this was for?
The total amount of ARPA funds is 14.5 million. This is only project one. We split the amount of the work to be done in the downtown part into 2 projects.
So I have just a logistics question. Do we pay our 10% tax on this 14.5 million as well back to the city?
No, we don't. This is considered restricted funding, rent, so it's subject to the 10% transfer to the city.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the recommendation from Mr. Young.
My second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Marie. We're going to go to item number 5, which is a consideration and possible action to approve the professional engineering and surveying services contract with Hazen and Sawyer for the Downtown Water Wastewater Project number 2 to be funded through the 2021 American Recovery Program Act and other funding sources.
Madam Chair, members of the board, again, this is the same project. This is the other half of it, which we called Project 2. And Hazen Sawyer is one of the 2 engineering firms selected. Project 2 has an approximate construction cost estimate of $7,772,004. Hazen and Sawyer submitted a fee proposal for Project 2 of $931,840. Recommended action is BPB staff recommends approval of a professional engineering and surveying services contract with Hazen and Sawyer for the Downtown Water and Wastewater Project 2 with 2021 American Recovery Program Act and other funding sources, ARPA 2021-1112, for a total amount not to exceed $931,840.
Any questions from the board? Can I get a motion?
That's a move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. So now we come to item number 6, which is the election of the board officers for 2023.
Madam Chair, in your packet, you also have this, the resolution number 2019-118. And in there, the second, or actually the third page, it talks under Rule 7, the election of the board will be held during the month of December. And so therefore, at this time, it is time to do the election of officers. And the next item is usually held concurrently as well, and ensure once a year. And so we did discuss some of the things, and we'll discuss it a little bit more in item number 7. But for this time, we do have listed for you in your packets, your current chairs and board chair and et cetera.
So can I get a nomination for
Yep.
the officers?
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Mr. Art Rondon for chair, Mr. Joseph Altman for vice chair, and Ms. Sandra Langley, Milford Langley as secretary treasurer.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations. All right.
I appreciate the vote of confidence, and I look forward to work with the board in a very diligent manner. And it is a tough job, even though a lot of people think it's not. But I do appreciate the vote. Thank you.
Thank you for stepping up.
Welcome.
Thank you,
Now
Mr.
for stepping down.
If I can make a comment, and thank you, Mr. Warren, I'll be working with you and designating the next agenda items going forward. Your election of officers, just for transparency, starts on January the 1st, so everybody's aware and the public is aware. And we'll work also at that time setting agenda items for the committee members, and we'll work with you.
Thank you. We're going to go with item number 7, which is a consideration and possible approval of appointment of a Brownsville Public Utilities Board representative to the Southmost Regional Water Authority for 2023.
Yes. Madam Chair, at this time, I went back and looked at the request of the board, the bylaws of the Southmost Regional Water Authority, but I also looked at the historical, what has currently been done. And there were several different areas where in practice, the chair would also hold SRWA, but last year it was Dr. Benavides was also elected. So at this time, just for keeping on with the consistency every year at the same board meeting, discussing both the SRWA board chair, I am brought this up, and there might be some house cleaning items we need to do with the SRWA board so they align with our existing practices, and I'm working currently with legal on that as well. And with that, I open it up to the board for discussion.
So do we need a nomination, or are we going to?
I'll nominate Dr. Benavides to continue as our VPUB representative so that he can serve out the remainder of his term with SRWA.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Benavides, for continuing to serve.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and recess to close meeting. We have several items to discuss, starting with item number 1, which is a discussion regarding changes to security services and possible approval of renewal of contract for security guard services for 2023, section 551.076. Number 2, consideration and discussion on sale or purchase of easements over real property by the state of Texas, by and through the Texas Facilities Commission totaling approximately 5.49 acres, generally located along the Rio Grande out of a 2.79 acre tract near the city of Los Indios, out of a 55.64 acre tract used for the water reservoir, and out of a 132.87 tract known as Morales Blanco. Section 551.071 and Section 551.072. Item number 3 is meeting with Board's legal counsel for advice about contemplated and pending court and administrative litigation and on matters in which the duty of the attorney under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct conflicts with Chapter 551, Section 551.071, including among other matters, the CRI forensic examination report, any new and/or additional information received regarding the forensic examination report, and possible retention of professional consultant regarding the forensic examination report. Number 4 is a discussion and possible action to authorize the interim general manager and CEO to determine qualifications and duties and initiate the recruitment and hiring of in-council staff, Section 551.074 and 551.071. Item number 5 is discussion and possible action to review the criteria for the request for qualifications proposals for local board council, Section 551.071. Item number 6 is a discussion and possible action to review the criteria for the request for qualifications proposals for special utility council, Section 551.074 and 551.071. And the last item will be number 7, discussion and possible action on the retention of a consultant by the interim general manager and CEO to determine qualifications of electric utility consultant to assist with administrative and professional duties. If I can get a motion to go to closed meeting, please. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Congratulations.
No, it doesn't let me. I'm muting them, but.
Okay, at this time, we're going to go ahead and reconvene back to open session. We're going to continue with item number 8, which is consideration and possible action on items discussed in closed meeting. The items are going to be item number 9, consideration and possible action to renew the contract and revision of terms for security guard services. If I can get a motion to approve.
You want to read the motion?
Oh, you need to read the, I'm sorry.
Just going to read the recommended action as disclosed in closed meeting. BPUB staff recommends the renewal of the contract with Pet Securing America for the period of February 1st, 2023 to January 31st, 2024.
Move to approve staff's recommendation.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed, motion carries. We have item number 10, the consideration and possible approval of resolution on sale or purchase of easements over real property by the state of Texas, buy-in through the Texas Facilities Commission, totaling 5.49 acres, generally located along the Rio Grande out of a 2.79 acre tract near the city of Los Indios, out of a 55.64 acre tract used for the water reservoir, and out of a 132.87 tract known as Morales Blanco. Jesse?
Yes, sir. Good evening. Please staff recommends board approval for resolution and authorization for the interim and chief executive office to conclude negotiations and the execution of document to effectuate this transaction.
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries. We're going to go with item number 11, consideration and possible action on engagement of Burton McCumber and Longoria LLP for review of Tenasca Project Fund. Mike?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, so the Finance Committee will be making a recommendation to the board.
And, our recommendation would be to approve the proposal.
Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. If I can Get a motion to adjourn them. Oh, I'm sorry. On item number 12, discussion and a request of future agenda items. And none, we'll go ahead and if I can get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
Aye.
carries. Meeting closed.
Good night, y'all.
Thank you, everybody.
Great job.